We are going to go back to our block controller. Let me hide my UCI over there a little bit. And let's once again think this through with some comments. Think it through, debug. That's the name of the game. Think it through. All right, so our comments are, what should happen when someone plugs in the USB cable? So let's see. When USB is connected, well, what do we want to do? If it is connected, then if they're not on the page that shows the cameras, we want to go to the cameras page, right? Go to Cameras tab. Not so bad. And then if it's disconnected, when USB is disconnected, what's the behavior that we want? Ooh, well actually there's two different behaviors that we want, isn't there? Because if they're already on the cameras page, then we want to show the warning. But if they're not on the cameras page, we don't care. We don't care. We don't need to show them a warning because they're probably doing something else. So we actually have more conditions to meet. So let's duplicate this. If they are on camera page, show warning. And last one would be, if they are on any other page, we don't care. Just like that. Okay. Now, hopefully this is starting to get pretty familiar. We're using the same tools over and over and over again. There's a reason why, repetition is the way to learn something. Hopefully this is getting in your bones here. When the USB is connected, where are we going for that? We have the LED indicating already whether or not it's connected. So we go to our LED USB connected control. It's got an event handler. That's where we want to start. When this LED changes states, which will be true because someone has connected something. So when the USB is connected, go to Cameras tab. So we're validating. Is it true or is it not? We just did this. Very, very similar. We want a flow control. We're going to grab our if statements. And we're validating when it is connected as the first case. When it is not connected, we're using our else statement, just like we just did. It's either true or it's false. So this is condition 1. These are conditions 2. How do we determine if it is true or not? Just like we just did previously, where we look for its Boolean, right? We don't need to validate if it's true. We just plug in the Boolean immediately, and it says if that is true, then we're going to do one thing. All right, we got to go to the Cameras tab. We got to go to the Cameras tab. If we're going to go to the Cameras tab, that means we got to, we got to show the camera layers. We've got to turn on the camera button. We've got to turn off the other navigation buttons. We've got to hide the other layers. We've already got a function for that. We've already written that entire thing, haven't we? That's the same thing that happens when button 3 is pressed. Plugging in a USB cable is the exact same thing as pressing the third button. Let's just copy this. I'm just going to copy this one right here, and I'm going to copy this one right here, because we're basically pretending that, button 3 is the button that was pressed, and we are then going to reset all the layers and buttons and run through everything as if they had pressed the button. We're done. Just like that. That's the power of using functions right there, right? We wrote that function once. We can leverage that function anytime something needs to do those things. Just a quick copy and paste. Whenever the USB is connected, we do the same things that would have happened as if they hit the navigation button. Lovely. Okay, halfway there. When the USB is disconnected, what do we want to do? We have two different conditions here. So now I need another if-else statement. I could make a whole other function out of this. I could get another sub-function, put this inside this. Because I know this isn't going that deep in the world of if-else, 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 I'm going to go ahead and just kind of nest it in with my existing else statement. It's not going to get too complicated. But if you wanted to, you certainly can. Again, as we go through all of this, if you think of slightly different ways to code it, you are more than welcome to explore, try it out on your own. Might make it a little bit harder to troubleshoot if you're asking someone for help, or me for help, or anyone for help if it's not matching. But do what you will. I'm going to grab my flow control, snap it right in here. When USB is disconnected, we have, once again, two possible conditions. So let's look for an if and an else again. Option 1 is if they're on the camera page. Option 2 is if they're on any other page. How do we know if they are on the camera page? If they're already on the camera page, well, there's a couple of things that we could validate. Maybe we could look at our variable that says the button that was pressed. Because if they're on that page, any way that they could have gotten to that page would have made that variable a 3. So we could ask once again, is the variable, the button that was pressed, equal to 3? We could do that. That would require a yellow block, and we put 2 things on both sides. But you know what? I'm just going to look at the button. I'm just going to look at the button because it's faster. I'm going to look to see if the nav3 camera's Boolean is true. I only need 1 block to do it that way. If they're on that page, we know that button's active. That'll be true. Perfect. So if they're on that page, what are we going to do? Okay, well now we've got to turn off the layers because they're disconnecting it. So we've got to hide 300 and we've got to show 350. Nope, we don't have to do any of that either. We've done all that already. We've once again done all the work because all of that is built in to our function up here. So we don't need to rethink our way through all this. We literally just need to do this again. Let's just run the function. We'll duplicate that same reset all layers and buttons function because when it does that, it's going to go through this whole list. And when it gets to this point in the list of where the button that was pressed equals 3, because it is, because we're on that page, it'll run the show camera layer or USB warning function inherently, and then it will show 350 or 300 the way we want it to. Once again, one little duplicate of plugging our function in saves us so much work. We don't have to recreate things over and over and over again. And you can see now how I said if you do something twice, make it a function, because if you do it twice, you might end up doing it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Who knows how many times later in your script you might end up doing that same thing. So making it a function early makes your life just so much easier later on. And then finally, wrap it up. Here's our else. If they're on any other page, we don't care. So, yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to do anything. I'm done. The code's complete. If you want to, shore this all up with some debug print, you certainly can. So let's grab a debug print, and here we'll say, get rid of your ghost block. Which you don't have to. I'm just afraid of Patrick. UCI is. Oops, I can type here. UCI is set to cameras because USB was connected. And maybe down here, we're going to say warning layer shown because user disconnected their USB. And then down here, we say something like, Patrick is dead, long live Nate. I'm sorry, I inherited your job now, I think that's how it works. This is a fiefdom.
You keep what you kill. I learned that from...
Did I kill you? Is that what happened?
In my
Did you die of boredom during those 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, now I don't feel so bad. Okay, let's test it out. We go to our emulator UCI, and we're going to share our screen with our class UCI again. So right now, I'm not on the cameras tab. USB is not connected. I will connect my USB. Voila! It popped me over to the cameras UCI. If while I'm here, I disconnect the USB, boom, it tells me that that's a problem. That's exactly the behavior that we wanted. If I navigate away and I navigate back, it's that. Navigate away, plug in the USB, it's there. If I'm on a different page and I disconnect, nothing happens except that our debug tells us Patrick is dead, long live Nate. All of our debugs along the way reported every single bit of that correctly as we went. Beautiful. And I mentioned this earlier that we are showing which camera is active. So if my USB is connected and we go to the right camera, you can see this little blue glow around the right camera or the left camera. So we're showing you which camera is active, just a little bit of extra functionality here on the UCI to give you some feedback. Make sense? Brilliant. Okay, our camera and USB connectivity section is complete. Pat yourself on the back. We are going to take a break. Whenever you are ready, we'll return and we'll start getting some third-party controls to control the lights and the shades in the room. Take a break. We'll see you in a bit. Oh no. Oh, Patrick's going to haunt you.
Had the time of my life.
This was the worst way this section could have ended.
Ditto. That's the wrong film. Is it? What is the song?
That is from the other Patrick Swayze movie.
Shoot!
All right. We're keeping all of that. We're keeping that, and we're keeping we're bleeping out the and we're keeping it all.